Good afternoon, everyone, and we have some breaking news here. John Mcafee is apparently dead. Okay, and this is New York Post. And what they are claiming here, antivirus software tycoon John Mcafee died by an apparent suicide in a Spanish jail cell Wednesday evening, hours after reports surfaced that he would be extradited to face federal charges in the United States, according to local media. The eccentric tech entrepreneur was arrested in October and was awaiting extradition when he was found dead, police sources told the newspaper El País. The newspaper reported Mcafee was pulled from his cell in Barcelona and police are investigating the circumstances around his death. Quote, everything points to suicide, the newspaper reported, citing Justice Department officials in the country. A second Spanish newspaper, El Mundo, also reported Mcafee had died by an apparent suicide in the jail. Earlier Wednesday, the Spanish High Court had agreed to extradite Mcafee, who had been charged with a number of federal financial crimes in 2 districts in the United States. And it goes on from there, and apparently they're calling this a suicide, and I'm not buying it. Okay, I'm not buying it whatsoever. And here's why. Mcafee himself said that if he got suicided, that he was murdered. This was a screenshot of a tweet that Brandon posted earlier. This was October of last year, just this past October. And as you can see here, this is in the Spanish jail. It says, I am content in here. I have friends. The food is good. All is well. Know that if I hang myself, a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine. Then there's this. This was November of 2019. It says, getting subtle messages from U.S. officials saying, in effect, quote, we're coming for you, Mcafee. We're going to kill yourself, end quote. I got a tattoo yesterday just in case. If I suicide myself, I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm. And there you have it directly from John Mcafee himself. He's saying, look, if this happens to me, it wasn't suicide. They murdered me. And that's exactly what I believe happened. The whole thing, just when you look at everything that's happened with Mcafee, and here's his current Twitter. In the last post, he retweeted this June 20th. And then before that, he says here, he says, in a democracy, power is given, not taken, but it is still power. Love, compassion, caring have no use for it, but it is fuel for greed, hostility, jealousy. All power corrupts. Take care which powers you allow democracy to wield. And power corrupts. Just these things, it just, you know, I don't believe it. The guy honestly loved life too much. He liked being the center of attention too much in a lot of cases. And look, whether or not you agree with McAfee's personal life and things he did is irrelevant. The guy exposed the corruption of the United States, okay? A couple of years ago, he came out with a video exposing some stuff about the government, and then rumors are now circulating that just this past year, he also released a tape exposing things about the U.S. government. And to me, this is what they do. If the U.S. government thinks they can't get you, they will off you. I believe this was deliberate. I believe it was a murder. I believe it was the CIA, and I believe it was a message to anyone else. This is what will happen to you if you buck the United States. And here was a video posted just June of 15th of this month, just June, this past June 15th. Ruptly, which is an RT affiliate, and
I have personally paid tens of millions of dollars in U.S. tax
yo he pagado millones de dólares en impuestos y mi empresa han pagado miles de millones de dólares también en impuestos.
While I was chairman of the company, I began to see corruption within the IRS, within our Internal Revenue System.
Did you hear that? I saw corruption within the IRS. He exposed it. He told about it. He bucked them. And this was retribution for that.
I sold my company and entered politics.
Entonces vendí mi empresa y me metí en política.
Because I believed that only through political action could the corruption within the IRS be exposed.
And this video goes on a little bit longer. I'm going to link this in the description, but you get the general idea of it. And here's another little piece. This was June 14, 2019. Mcafee pledges to expose corruption in U.S. government. He knew it, just like most of us know it, how absolutely corrupt and crooked and just downright evil the U.S. government is. He exposed a bunch of stuff, and he had other things that he was going to expose. He even said that he had stuff on a hard drive. I don't know if that will ever surface. It would be very, very interesting if it did. But I want to use Snowden as an example. Snowden knew what was going to happen to him. That's why he went to Russia. He knew that if he could get to Russia and could get in Russia, he would be safe. Because Russia is not going to tolerate the CIA or the U.S. coming in and doing crap in their territory. Europe is the United States' playground, okay? All their buddies, all those nations suck up to the U.S. and bow down to the U.S. Europe is a bad place to go, and really anywhere else other than Russia or maybe even China. Really, Russia and China are the only two places that I know of that you're really genuinely safe from the U.S. government if the U.S. government is after you and you know it. So here we go. I mean, he's telling us right here, November the 30th, if I get suicided, it was murder. And there you have it. This was a hit. This was absolutely a hit. There is no doubt in my mind that it was a hit. Now, some people are going to say, well, he committed suicide because, they agreed to go ahead and extradite him to the U.S. So he knew that was going to happen, so he committed suicide. Well, no, I believe they set it up that way to look like that so people would assume that. I mean, you've got to have a reason for someone to suddenly off themselves. So a judge agreeing to extradition suddenly out of nowhere is the perfect quote explanation end quote for why he would quote suicide himself end quote. Okay, so I'm not buying it. He was assassinated. It was a hit on John McAfee. So there you have it, man.